I still retain my copy of this book, New Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, A New Path. This book was edited by our colleague Davinda Lamba and, of course, Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, among others. See, you cannot understand the quagmires facing Africa in terms of development if you do not know what happened on the continent in the late 1970s through the 1980s, 1990s, and so on and so forth. Now, Africa in the late 70s had just come up with the Lagos Plan of Action, which emphasized self-reliance. The World Bank then responded through the Budge Report, which emphasized international trade. And obviously, it is through the Budge Report that later on we had the structural adjustment programs. Now, you have to understand where we are as Africa. We are in a very dangerous place. We are losing control of our agriculture, for example. We are losing control of our seeds, for example. We are losing control of our food systems. Africa is going through a process I call GMonization. Because see, the white race has never really believed that Africans are also human beings. So any poisons produced in the developed countries, if they are looking for a human laboratory, they come to Africa to test those things. And of course, a lot of the developed countries have rejected GMOs, and therefore they have to be dumped in Africa. The only thing they have had to do is to bribe your leaders left, right, and center. Oh, there was, of course, a process of trying to come up with laws. That process started slightly more than 10 years ago, but there has been huge resistance by activists based in Africa. And therefore, what the big companies have done is basically to bribe your leaders. And therefore, Africa has become the dumping ground for GMO foods, for GMO crops, and so on and so forth. Dear African people, our war is a big one. We must be ready for it, but we must also have knowledge. We must understand what has happened on the continent. We must understand why Africa is where it is in the global political economy. We must understand why our contribution to international trade is less than 3%. We must understand why that proportion has been reducing over the decades. We must understand why we are poor. We are not poor because we are poor. We are not poor because we don't work hard. It is the global system that has contributed largely to our poverty. And of course, the corruption of our leaders, which is also fed by these same multinational companies that want to take away all our control of our food systems, our crop system, and so on and so forth. As we enter the year 2025, Africans, you must know you are on your own. You have a big fight in your hands.